can tell it's officially time for bed because my contacts are fogging up and I both can see clearly and also can't focus on anything. So hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome to the start of this weekly reading vlog, in which I'm not actually sure if I'm gonna get a lot of reading done because I have so much filming and editing I need to do this week. I do need to get some reading done. I really need to, which is hilarious to say, seeing as how it is the 14th and I've already finished like 18 books. Shout out to that reading challenge of trying to read 10,000 pages in 10 days. I'll put a link to that video up here so you can see how I did. But even so, I'm still in the middle of like 4 different books at this moment, and none of them are the book that I need to get read for my book club on Wednesday. Starting at the top, I'm hoping to read Black Witch Magic by Mila Nix for my book club / this was also my pick for my TBR jar for a Spotify picks. I'm really hopeful I'm going to enjoy this. I also have a video planned for it. I need to have this read by Wednesday for my book club. It's not the end of the world if I haven't finished it. It's just that I like to have finished my books so I can give them a rating when I do my little review. However, like I said, I'm already in the middle of multiple other books, not including this one. Barely have started Into Mary by Nat Cassidy. I think I read like 12 pages of this for my 10K challenge, which was so little that I don't even remember actually talking about it in my updates. I've been wanting to get around to this one for so long and I finally started it. So I was like, yes, let's go. And it's been days since I've touched it. My want to read this has been reinvigorated by the fact that Josh's mom just recently finished it and really liked it, and I had bought it for her. Means I think I'm gonna like it and I want to read it so I can talk about it with her. Then I am in the middle of an arc that I've been reading, The Faculty Lounge by Jennifer Matthew, which I was sent by Dutton. I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video just because I do have an arc reading vlog for that coming out, but I'm over the halfway point now. I am enjoying it. It's very easy to read as each chapter is kind of like its own little vignette following a different faculty member. I actually got really invested into it on Saturday night unintentionally. Like I kind of just picked it up to read a chapter while Josh was doing something before we continued watching our show. I got really sucked in, worried that this one character was gonna cheat on their spouse, and so I had to find out whether or not they did it because I didn't want them to. I really liked him, so I had to finish the chapter in order to find out. Finally is the nonfiction book that I started in June and has literally just been sitting on my bedside table untouched for weeks now. Queer Body Power by 𝗖cie HİH/𝘁, Finding Your Body Positivity. I was really liking this when I read it. I have already tabbed a few things, points that I thought were really interesting or anecdotes that I connected with. I think it's actually very cool that the author does take time to weave in research while also having multiple different anecdotes from different queer influencers who she's interviewed. It's also been really interesting looking at the perspective of like body image issues and how those issues can tie into a person struggling with their sexuality. How people view them because of their sexuality shifts the perspective of like their body or how other people perceive their body. Like I said, it's been very interesting to read. So I do want to continue reading it because like I said, I was really enjoying it, but I just stopped prioritizing it. And it's not even that long. It's really not. I could finish this so easily, but I just haven't done it. Since I'm annotating them, both of these books I do want to read physically. The Faculty Lounge is an ebook, which y'all know I don't do well with ebooks. And then Black Witch Magic I do want to read physically as well. I also can't find the audiobook for it anywhere, but I tend to enjoy annotating my romance books. 4 books that I need to read with my eyeballs. And that's a lot. I got a little audiobooked out during that 10K challenge. Honestly, I haven't touched one in the last 4 days. Rather, I've been watching booktube or listening to music more. My Spotify punk mix was really hitting today when I took Josh to the airport, which on that note, Josh is out of town this week for a work conference. So I got the place to myself. And again, part of me is really hopeful that that means I will get a ton of reading done. But at the same time, I have a bunch of filming and editing I need to do. I will try to pick up an audiobook tomorrow morning when I take Faith on our walk. Good morning, friends. I'm gonna try doing morning updates this week. We'll see how that goes. I've been being a little bit better about getting an early start.
not the greatest. I did take Faith for a walk this morning, and I started into the audiobook of In the Heart of the Sea by Nathaniel Philbrick, The Tragedy of the Whale Ship 𝗖cie. This was on my 12 Recs by 12 Friends, picked by my friend Molly. So once I finish this one, I will have finished all 3 picks by my personal friends on that list. I just figured may as well ride that wave, and then this way I can tell her to watch the video for my thoughts. Basically, we're following the crew of the whale ship 𝗖cie, which the destruction of it was the inspiration for the final scene in Moby Dick. That's kind of what the 𝗖cie is most well known for. Molly is a big fan of shipwreck books, so she recommended this one to me, seeing as how I do enjoy nonfiction. And thus far, I will say it is actually pretty interesting. I was a little worried that the writing would be very dry. And it's very fact-based, but I think the author is doing a good job of telling it more like a narrative story. He's piecing together the story thus far between like different diary entries, logs, things like that from the past. And he also sets up the scene of just like what life was like in Nantucket at this time and how important whaling was to their livelihood. So that's been really interesting and just kind of educational about a topic that I don't personally know much about. So yeah, it's been going fairly decent so far. I am currently making coffee. I'm waiting for the water to finish boiling, and then I'm gonna head out to work. Hello, my friends. I definitely could have set up a better filming position, but I just didn't want to. I'm lazy, and after I film this, I'm gonna go to bed. So I had a decent day of work, thankfully. I got home and did some filming that I needed to do. Then I was just in a cooking mood, even though I did have leftovers. So I decided to go ahead and make up some dinner. It was pretty tasty. And then I started into a new docuseries because I don't know why, I'm just in a true crime mood right now. And so it's Taken at Birth, I think is what it's called. And it's talking about the Hicks baby situation in Georgia, which I had heard of previously, where basically this doctor was performing illegal adoptions. One of these women who was a Hicks baby, she started investigating it in like the 90s, I think. And they're just continuing to search into it. It's really interesting because now they have DNA, which can help with finding the biological families, but it's still not perfect, and there's still a lot of drama related to it because we don't necessarily know if these children were given up voluntarily. There's also concerns about whether or not this doctor was actually inducing labor early. It's been interesting just to hear about it, as well as pretty emotional. But yeah, I kind of got sucked into that, so I didn't get as much physical reading time, but I listened to some more of In the Heart of the Sea while I took a shower, and I think we're getting closer to the whale attack. And then I started into Black Witch Magic. I only got about 36 pages in, but I'm already liking this, especially because right at the end of the second chapter, our two main characters meet. Aiden is a paranormal investigator a la BuzzFeed Unsolved. He and his friend Eddie do it's not called YouTube, but YouTube show where they go to haunted places. He is considered the skeptic of the two, but he actually does put in a lot of research into the stories that they present, which is very cool. And the next story they're going to be working on is actually that of Luna Blackstone, which is Celine's grandmother. Luna was rumored to be this evil witch, but in the prologue chapter, we kind of see that there was a fight between her and this other witch, Aurora. and it seemed to be happening over a man. So I wonder if we're gonna like have a bit of a mystery going on around that. Then 𝗖cie is a librarian. She just kind of wants to live a normal life, but unfortunately, because her family line has been cursed, she can never leave this town, which is really a shame because it is actively known that she is related to this, quote, evil witch. So I am intrigued to keep reading, but unfortunately I'm falling asleep. Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. I hope you had a good one. Mine was a little up and down. It was one of those days where I just didn't feel like being an adult, but gotta do what you gotta do. This morning I hit chapter 8 in the whale ship Essex. So we see the actual attack by the whale go down, and then we follow as all of the crew are forced into the whaling boats rather than the actual ship, because the ship is destroyed. So then they're trying to survive on these boats. Very little provisions, and they basically tie 3 of these boats together to try and work as a team. It's been very interesting to see that misinformation of the time and, you know, xenophobia definitely impacted them so much, because rather than trying to travel to Tahiti, which probably was within like a week sail for them, instead they tried to go back to South America, which was like a month's journey. So yeah, they were here and they could have gone like down over here to these islands, but instead they're trying to go all the way back over here. It's been a wild time listening to it, honestly. Then tonight I've been doing my absolute best to read more of Black Witch Magic. I actually have had a fair amount of reading done. I did some reading sprints with my friend Kat, and I hit chapter 12 at about 140 pages, and I actually did make the decision that I'm gonna try annotating this for a gift for one of my friends. As we're getting more into the actual plot, I am really engaged. I'm really liking the characters. Seeing them interact is very cute. You can tell they just genuinely like each other and have a crush on one another and want to spend more time with the other person. You know, the surrounding circumstances make things a little bit more difficult because 𝗖cie is a witch. She is trying to cover up the fact that she is in fact a witch, while he's the paranormal investigator who she eventually figures out who he is, but he doesn't know that she knows who he is. So that's led to some fun antics thus far. Her friend's a little like peak hipster, but she works as a good foil to 𝗖cie, who's more of a homebody, nerdy librarian kind of girl. But we have seen a little bit of spunk from her here and there, and I really like when those moments come out. And again, she and Aiden just have pretty good banter across the board. I am really enjoying this. I wasn't expecting this to be taking place at Christmas time, though. That's been kind of ironic. Nothing about this says Christmas, but yeah, it's like a week to Christmas in the story at this point. I didn't get as much reading into this done as I wanted. I am reading this for a video, so like I need to film an update at the halfway point, and I have my book club meeting, which I was reading this for, tomorrow night. Yeah, so I am definitely gonna be taking this with me to read on my lunch break tomorrow. I guess I'll just try and crank as much out as I can before our book club meeting. Hello my friends, happy Wednesday. Apparently I'm only ever gonna film an update from the couch, and I'm gonna work on taking my hair down because I've had it up in this bun all day and my head is killing me. I had a decent day at work. It was pretty low-key for most of the day, which was really nice. I unfortunately did not get up and take Faith on a walk this morning, but I didn't feel like getting out of bed. But I was good in the fact that I started working on Black Witch Magic this morning, and then I did take it with me and read it over my lunch break. And then as soon as I got home from work, I continued reading this. I was trying my best to finish it before my book club tonight. I was actually reading this while like eating dinner before my book club, and I didn't quite make it, unfortunately. I think I estimated before 50 pages when I was at book club. I think actually I have more like 40 pages left, and I am liking this. It is very cute. I have some really ridiculous and hilarious situations. The reveal that took place was one of those where it's like, on one hand, I'm like, what? How did we possibly get here? Things did start to get a little bit spicy, but then unfortunately we're interrupted isn't quite the right word, but we're gonna use interrupted for lack of a better word, unfortunately. And I'm very hopeful, seeing as how there is a content warning in the front. I'm really hoping there's an actual smut scene in one of these next chapters. I did also find out that apparently this series is not a companion series. I was thinking that each book followed a different like witchy character. No, the whole series is following these two main characters, and so I'm wondering if it kind of like does the same thing as, say, the Solving with Pie series or the Big Bad Wolf series by 𝗖cie迄𝘁. Each novel is like a next step in their relationship, and honestly I think I would continue reading the series because these two are just so smitten for one another. They're really cute. I am really liking this. It's a little ridiculous, but in the most fun way possible. Since I didn't mock Faith, I did not read much of In the Heart of the Sea today. I think I did maybe listen to a chapter while I was driving to and from the library. Yeah, that sounds right, because I think I hit the point where they've shipwrecked on an island. I don't know if that's gonna be a good or bad thing, honestly. And then, in some really fun news, I was talking with this woman at my book club today, and she is on the board for this bookish event in the Dallas area that's focused on romance books and has a bunch of romance authors come. They have a keynote speaker, and then every author has her own table, or their own table, and you can like buy a spot at one of the tables. So I signed up for that, and then she was actually talking to me about helping to promote it a little bit, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm both very excited and very nervous because looking at the list, it seems a lot of these authors are historical romance, and I don't tend to read much historical romance. I've thrown around the idea of trying out historical romances for quite some time and just never officially took the plunge. So I think this might be the thing that officially pushes me into doing that. It's not until October, but if you're in the Dallas area, it is called Buns and Roses, and I will put information for it in my description down below. I'll probably talk about it a few more times in other videos in the future. But yeah, so that was super exciting just to talk about that with her, and now I'm brainstorming up all these fun content ideas. And then again, I am both nervous but also kind of can't wait to try and read some different romance books. But I also think this means I will be reading a lot of romance for the next few months. And on that note, honestly, I think I'm gonna say goodnight. I put on 10 Things I Hate About You because I needed something on in the background while I worked on some video stuff, and then ate basically a second dinner because I was really hungry again. But I need to go take a shower. My hair is very floofy and oily, as you can see. Good morning, friends. I'm filming this now because it's Friday morning. I didn't update yesterday. It was Thursday. My Thursdays are usually always a little hectic, and I was over at my brother's pretty late. And then tonight I'm picking up Josh from the airport, and we'll probably end up getting dinner like on that side of town. I don't know if this will get filmed tonight, so I thought I should do it now so I can actually talk to y'all. But hey, what's up? It's Friday morning. I'm making some coffee. I finished out the whale ship 𝗖cie. That's not what this is called. I finished out In the Heart of the Sea by Nathaniel Philbrook yesterday. I did like this. It was really interesting. Once we finally devolved into cannibalism, I was very much like, oh, there it is.
Well, there it is.
In that chapter in particular, I really started to appreciate how Philbrook continuously kept bringing up other stories of famous shipwrecks, or in that situation, maritime cannibalism. And especially when it came to the men starving, I thought it was very interesting that he mentioned this, I want to say it was Minnesotan
starving experiment that was, again, like, he kept calling back to it and reinforcing aspects that were learned from that were probably impacting these men who were suffering from starvation at an even worse rate. Again, it was very interesting, and it also is one of those novels where, like, I finish it and I'm like, I am so glad we don't have this anymore. I'm so glad we as a society have moved past this, but also, like, thank God for technology. There are so many situations in this novel that, like, just wouldn't happen today because of the day and age we live in. But again, it was very interesting just to learn more about this, like, specific section of history that I personally am not very knowledgeable about. My water is boiling, so I'm gonna go pour that over my coffee real quick. Again, this is like a very niche topic, but it was really interesting. It's also a little it's a little misleading when you look at, like, the size of the book, because in reality there's an index, there's the acknowledgements. As I said, I haven't had coffee yet, so I'm not awake yet. There is a bibliography, which of course it's a nonfiction talking about a very big topic, so I appreciate that. And then there's actually a lot of notes. Initially, I was actually listening to the notes. It's just, like, so hyper specific that I didn't really think it was needed. Plus there's some photos in the middle. So yeah, like, looking at this, it's a little misleading. It's not nearly as long as you think it is. But I'm glad Molly forced me to read this, honestly. It has me intrigued to ask her about a few other shipwreck books. So Moll, if you're watching this, send me some of those. I unfortunately did not read the rest of Black Witch Magic yesterday. I did, however, read a little bit of The Faculty Lounge by Jennifer Matthews, since that's my arc I have on my phone right now. And the last chapter was very heart-wrenching. Followed through the eyes of a custodian. I think Jennifer Matthews must be a teacher, because you can tell she's really thought out every person that is beneficial to a school and is trying to have their voice heard in the novel. So we follow this custodian that's an El Salvadorian woman who is unfortunately undocumented, and she is terrified because of that. However, she actually was a teacher in El Salvador, so she cares a great deal about these kids, even though she is not teaching them. That issue comes up when she is suspecting a sub of having an inappropriate relationship with a student. Nothing is explicitly showcased on page or anything, but she doesn't know what to do about it because she is undocumented. She's terrified of getting herself in the middle of the situation. Really appreciated the sensitivity that Matthew had with that whole conversation that was going on there. I started into the audiobook of my next Star Wars novel, which is, I can't remember the title, but I'll have the photo on the screen. We're seeing through the eyes of Avon, whose mother is a politician that has turned for the Nihil, the big bad, and is unfortunately living in this, like, sectioned off part of space that the Nihil have occupied. It's very interesting to see, like, that rebellious stage in the teenager. She can see what her mother is doing and how her mother is, like, manipulating her position to work out for the both of them, but at the same time she doesn't agree with it. And it also ties back to events from Into the Shadows, I think is what it was called, which I wasn't really a big fan of. With this one, we're not seeing through the same characters as we have in prior novels. It's more like we'll be seeing through the daughter, who was, like, the protected one, whereas before we saw through the Padawan, who was protecting her. Or we're seeing through the eyes of Jordana, Syl's girlfriend, whereas before we were seeing through Syl's eyes. We saw a little bit of Wreath, who I do enjoy, and I hope we see more of him, but I don't know if we really will, because I think this one is more going to be focusing on Vernestra Rwoh, who's a very young Jedi and has recently stepped away from the Order, but now Avon, the politician's daughter, has found Vernestra and is asking her to come back to try and save Vernestra's prior Padawan, who is trapped in Nihil space. I'm hopeful it'll go pretty good. I will definitely get some more reading of that done while I'm driving to the airport today. So fingers crossed, I might hit the halfway point of that one today, actually, which would be fantastic. Anyway, I'm gonna go make my coffee because I need it.
Hello, my friends. So I was completely right in that I did not talk to y'all last night. I was completely wrong in the fact that I thought I would already be at the halfway point in Defy the Storm, because that did not happen. Did hit 25%, but I actually didn't have nearly as bad as traffic driving to the airport to pick up Josh as I was expecting, seeing as I was, like, right at rush hour. But then once I got to the airport, bit of a nightmare. Parked up, was waiting for him, and read a little bit further into The Faculty Lounge by Jennifer Matthew, which was my arc that I was in the middle of. Continued to really enjoy that. It is now Saturday. Josh and I had a nice, slightly lazy, relaxed morning. We went and got breakfast at this diner nearby that is delicious. And then we came back and I don't remember why, but I quoted Shrek.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
Off of that, Josh then wanted to watch Shrek. We got like halfway through the first movie before going over to his parents' house to go swimming, which was a lot of fun. And then we went out to dinner with them at this delicious Greek restaurant. While driving there and back, I did finish out the Faculty Lounge, and I did really like it overall. I do think there were some chapters that were a lot more memorable than others, and that's probably because the more memorable chapters were tackling some heavier topics that were going on within these teachers' lives. I would have liked to see from a few teachers more than once, but I also think the layout of the story was pretty well done. And then tonight, guys, I finally did it. I finally finished Black Witch Magic. It's ridiculous that I had book club on Wednesday and I needed to have it done Wednesday. Didn't finish it until Saturday, but I did really like this. It's very silly, very cute. It's honestly combined BuzzFeed Unsolved with practical magic. That's kind of the energy that I got from this book. And I think the fact that I figured out the series itself is actually all continuing to follow the same couple made me enjoy the romance more, because I wasn't sold on the fact that these two were in love. This is very much still like the honeymoon stage of their relationship. It's all about the start of things. And so it is really sweet, really pure at times, but it does have some spicy bits going on. I really liked this one overall, and I am planning to continue reading the series. I just don't know when that's gonna happen. So I did finish 3 books in this video, which is great. I am like 25-ish% into a third. A fourth. I can count. All right, and on that note, that is it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a magnifying glass emoji in the comments. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!